Hey everyone, back here with a little weird video there. I was, I have my watch laters. I am literally, you know, 30 videos into a 46 video watch later event here, and I can't like this was one of the ones that I wanted to see because this looked interesting. Garage54 wanted to build this engine here. Now, they do build it, but they change a few things here, and their design was similar, but they changed this whole setup here to, instead of having this Y setup, which locked this into a solid piece and then had the pivot point up here inside here, so that when the Y is like this, it would rock inside the piston head, and that's where the point was. They made these 2 points the pivot point of a T off instead of the Y, and that's right there is where this failed, because as you can see here, instead of doing a Y that went up to here so that it would actually focus this straight thing here, they created this point here where these would slide. That was the failure point, because this pivots. It pivots. This one would slide over while this one stayed put, and as soon as this one bottomed out, then this one would slide over, and that created a lot of cracking and slapping here. To fix this specific design, there should be 2 of these, one over here and one over here, instead of one in the middle, because if 2 of them are going at the same pace as these 2, then this creates a stronger path. And by doing 2, then you wouldn't have the catastrophic failure that they did, because this rocking, slapping back and forth ends up breaking this line. If they designed it the way that it was intended, it would have survived and more than likely ran. But because they changed the overall design and they literally didn't follow the actual design of it. They're like, okay, these 2 come down, those outside 2 go up, and that's all we have to worry about is that sequence, and then 1 here. That's all we have to worry about. They changed everything else in the design, and that's where this failed. Had they could keep this same design, but everything from here down changes to a double. Instead of 1, there'd be 1 here and 1 here. Then you'd have 2 points going down and 2 slides here. That would work. But if you're going to keep a single point in the middle, you need to do the Y off up here where it's connected here and in here to actually, Y off. Adding this section here completely altered the entire design, and that's where the failure came into play. That's where the failure came into play. The pivot point being up here along with this, that is where the strength comes for this. But by moving this pivot point down here, and instead of being a pivot point, like this, and doing a slide point like this, you created too much torque and tension in this point, which then altered this position here. So instead of pushing straight down. It was pushing over and then down, over and then down, over and then down, and then mid cycle, it would switch to the other side. So you'd have the bending feature this way, and then it would jerk this way, bending feature this way, then jerk this way, and that's where you're getting all the destructive force right here. By altering what was here, they destroyed what was down here. This design is somewhat feasible if done properly. Their design is also feasible if done properly. This design requires pivot point up here and a single point down here. Their design requires 2 pivot points here that slide, which would mean 2 pivot points down here that stay stationary. Having 2 points down here and 2 points right here, you create an H pattern, and that H pattern creates the strength needed to keep this in one piece and to keep this from slopping back and forth. Just by changing this portion here, their design would work. By doing it this way, this design would work feasibly. In all mathematical, everything here, design-wise, engineering-wise, this should work. But this does not work. Because as you can see, these pivot points are not the same. As you can see, this is straight across, this is at an angle. This slide needs support here, and this one needs support here to keep them identical. By making these 2 points identical to these points down here, it keeps this in a secured straight pattern where you have 4 points of contact on a straight linear field. By doing this slide and a single point down here, you create a circular pattern going like this or like this, but on the upstroke, it can change from clockwise to counterclockwise just by the coincidence of one of these sliding differently. Another point to make here is that the bolt that's going through here does not have any sort of bearing system, so it's literally just a bolt slapping back and forth, which would wear down this metal. By making this heavier steel and putting a bearing system in here, then it would actually slide back and forth and roll properly. There is a lot to this that would work with a few minor changes. Garage54, it could work. Just a few minor adjustments. So that's it for this one. See you guys on the next.